This is The Mud Peddlers, a podcast where two nerdy ceramic artists share the behind the scenes of their worlds of clay. We are your hosts, Lindsey M Dillon.
And I am Donte of Earth Nation.
This week on The Mud Peddlers, I am interviewing Donte.
So many, why are there so many?
Because you went to NCECA and I didn't, so I want to know what happened. I am standing in today as the listeners who did not get to go to NCECA, myself included, so I want to know. It's story time. Tell me all about NCECA. Go.
Well, why don't we lay down what NCECA is first?
Oh yeah,
There's probably a lot of people who are like, "What is NCECA?"
You know, that's very true.
It's like the National Clay Education Conference.
Hold on.
It's something like that.
No. We gotta make this shit official.
It's Burning Man for potters, where
Burning Man.
It changes location every year. And you essentially go and you learn a bunch of stuff. And weirdly enough, most people that I know go to like make connections and meet their pottery friends.
Okay. It's the National Council on Education for the Ceramic Arts.
I was close, but not at all. Also.
Very, you know, you got
the vibe was there.
You got the vibe, but not the words.
National Learning for Potheads.
Oh my God.
Association.
Yeah, definitely.
I took a train this time. I deeply regret it.
Okay.
I have a couple of my students who went just because I wouldn't shut up about it, and they were like, "Yeah, we found plane tickets like there and back for like $100."
Oh my God.
And I spent like $600 on a train. And the thing no one tells you about Amtrak is that like it's very old the way that it's been done, right? So the transportation system is relatively old.
Yeah.
In comparison. So
considering that it's like a railroad.
Right. And so when you go to an Amtrak station in almost any city, Sacramento being like the most up-to-date one that I've seen so far. It's beautiful. It looks old. It looks like old Sacramento. Has a couple of shops in there, but all the other 5 stops are Suck Station.
Oh no!
Suck Station, USA.
Oh no!
I'm telling you, you go to an airport, it's like you're in a mall. There's plenty of things to do. You can spend some money.
Yeah.
You can pay to get into like a little loft. You know those like exclusive places.
Yeah.
No, the Amtrak station is just like 14 hours.
Ooh.
And I paid for first class too, so I stayed in a little capsule. If you've ever played Halo or any Space Marine game, where they put you in a capsule until you come out of cryo sleep, that's how it was.
I mean, okay, it wasn't, from what I saw in the pictures, it wasn't like your face is 2 inches below glass.
No,
like you had like a ceiling, but it was definitely like pod adjacent.
It was very pod adjacent, and there was electricity, and there was my own little air system, and it was cool. And everyone's like, "But the view, right? Oh, but you probably saw the bit." Listen, mountains are good for 14 hours. Mountains. You know,
not that great.
Not that great.
I honestly, I don't know. I love road trips and stuff, so I would have, I think, enjoyed doing the train as well, but I think also like, well, okay, so for our listeners who, you know, because I don't know if we ever actually talked about this beforehand, but like, why did you want to do the train?
I don't trust these planes.
You don't trust these planes?
I worship way different gods than you guys worship, and it's should not be going that fast, that high up in the air, and that amount of metal, that close to the sky.
So we call that flight anxiety.
Shouldn't be doing it. Shouldn't be. And everyone's always like, just get drunk. Just take some pills. No. I shouldn't have to do that for teleportation.
Teleportation?
In comparison to the train, it's damn near. But it took like a 4-hour flight or 3-hour flight if you did from California.
And as a reminder also for our listeners, it's NCECA this year was in Salt Lake City.
Salt Lake City, Utah, at the Salt Palace, which is... Don't laugh.
I'm sorry, I'm going to. I also just...
Yeah.
Finished listening to this like series on like Mormonism, and I'm just like, oh boy.
Have you ever gotten to the? We're not supposed to get.
Have you
ever gotten to the end of the Mormon book?
I have not read the Book of Mormon, but
get to the end.
And again, like I don't have an issue, just in case any of you dear listeners are like Mormons. I don't have an issue with Mormons, just like the same way that like generally speaking, I don't have an issue with like Christians or like Buddhists or whatever.
Right.
It's more like looking at. But basically,
no, I have no issue with other religions.
To complete the thought, it's about like what is like it's like the corruption of the institution. Is what bothers me, and there's a lot of that in Mormonism. But anyway, carry on.
I have no real issue with other religions, but when you get to the end of Book of Mormon, they start talking about owning your own planet, And that shit's great. They start talking about aliens near the end.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
It is amazing.
Yeah. Okay, so NCECA was in Salt Lake City.
NCECA was in Salt Lake City at the Salt Palace, and you're reminded that it's a Salt Palace because every time you look at it from almost any angle, there's these giant pillars that look exactly like Denny's salt shakers.
Oh.
And so what we've done when we were walking up, we were like, are we entering the south or the other cardinal directions? Which one are we? Okay, the one we're supposed to enter is the biggest salt shaker. And that's kind of how we knew.
I love that.
Day one, I want to say I got there and I got my badge, but I really call it day zero because the first day you technically get there, the hall in which everyone sells their stuff and does presentations, it's more of an intro. They have like their big intro meeting inside the main hall, but no one's really set up. Like Amico and Mud Tools, they're setting up, they're not set up. You can't go into the shopping center.
Oh, okay. So day zero is basically like, that's the day that you...
Pick up your badge.
And you arrived.
And
so you arrived that day and, okay.
Yes, and you get your surroundings. Pick up your badge, and then you kind of set your Airbnb house or whatever, your hotel or whatever you have. You go to the grocery store, you do your stuff.
Yeah, who all were you staying with, by the way?
Oh, man, I can't name all of them.
I know you can't, but I mean, I know the answer to this question, but okay, so you were staying in a pottery house.
Well, Tim calls it the April house. I call it the Nico house.
Aww.
And then all of my... Yeah, that's it, yeah.
Yeah, because April and Nico. Hi, if you guys are listening, I'm sorry I didn't get to go. I miss you. Yeah, they're the heads of household, so to speak, in that house. So.
Nico is what I jokingly, but it's become a little serious, have called my handler. So, like, she'll I'll run off and she'll after a while message me and be like, get in the car, we're going to lunch. Get in the car, we have to go to this meeting.
Yeah.
Get in the car, we have to go to Tim's Mud Buddies, Clay Buddies.
Yeah.
Like a teacup exchange thing, which is one of the events they hold there.
Yeah, I remember doing that last time. How was okay, sorry.
Much more organized.
I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. Okay,
no,
so day zero.
Okay, day zero. Day zero, you go pick up your badges and you get your bearings.
Okay.
So like all the people I've talked to on Instagram will message me and be like, hey, let's meet up. I want to talk glaze chemistry, or I want to talk about clay, or I want to talk about what you're doing and want to share notes and XYZ and XYZ. And that's sort of why you mainly go, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Like if there's any, like what's his name? Old Forge, I think was there. No, never mind. The other guy who I always mix up with Old Forge. He makes swirly cups. He does a lot of 3D printing.
Hammerly.
Oh
yeah.
Hammerly was there.
Hi Kurt, if you're listening to this, which would be amazing if you were. Hello.
Yeah.
I got to meet Hammerly, I got to meet Kurt at NCECA Sacramento.
I always see him and then I just don't walk up to him because he's always busy.
Yeah.
So like I saw his presentation and then I saw a gang of people rush him at the end of his presentation because he had one.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I'm just going to look from afar so I can memorize your face. Not creepy at all. And then I just kind of like walked off.
Yeah.
And that was it. Like, that's the most I saw. But I did not actually talk to him while I was there.
Okay.
Saw him down the hallway a couple times. I was like, oh, that's him. And then it was like seeing a wild Pokemon that's rare.
Yeah.
And then I just didn't say anything. I was like, oh, I'm not going to try and catch that one. But in the first day, you grab your badges. If you don't grab your badges on the first day, you will grab it on the second day, which is technically the first day. And you will stand in a line for like 2 hours.
Oh,
so you need to get there a day before. It's probably a good idea. Get your bearings, learn where everything is, survey the area, figure out where all the rooms are. The second day is where everything kind of goes down.
Ooh, okay. What was day 2 like for you?
Well, the dealer's hall, so to speak,
opens up. Yeah.
And so you're gonna spend like your 10K step. You're gonna get your steps in.
Yeah.
Walk in that hall, and you're gonna get to see all the cool stuff. Like, and we're not. By the way, I'm not sponsored by any of these people at the moment. Usually my contract's end. But Amico is coming out with a new clay body pretty soon.
Oh.
There's a really big problem, as many of you know, with the darker clay bodies having too much iron and manganese in them.
Right.
And because of that, it doesn't like.
It blisters.
It blisters because it doesn't, for lack of a better term, off gas or fire off at the proper bisque temperatures.
Yeah.
So you either have to have a super long bisque soak at a certain temperature because it shows up in the glaze.
Right.
So what happens is people fire their obsidian clay or whatever.
Yeah.
And it ends up not bloating. And like, oh, it came out of the bisque just fine. And then they glaze it and it bloats later.
Yeah.
And the correlation is, well, it's messing up in the glaze. No.
Oh, yeah.
The problem happens in the bisque.
Yeah.
Right. And so there's just too much stuff trapped in the clay body without getting like super into it. So
sure, yeah.
A lot of the clay companies, including IMCO and Amico, have sought to fix this problem. So Amico is coming out with a new line, I think, and I am wrong in saying this, but I think it's like the milk chocolate line. where they have 3 different new clay bodies.
Oh, cool. I don't think I actually knew that Amoco made clay.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
I didn't know they made clay. They said they do a lot of business with schools.
Oh.
Which I'm very proud of. But also, I didn't know. Like, I've never gone to the store and bought an Amoco clay. Mm-hmm. But they said they're releasing 3 new clay bodies. One of them is I think, white chocolate, then there's milk chocolate, and then there's, like, dark chocolate. Ooh. And it's white, brown, and black, respectively.
Yeah.
Right? And they said it does not bloat unless you essentially fire it over cone 7.
Oh, wow.
And they gave me a sample of it, and I have some in the studio. I have 5 pounds of the dark chocolate, and then I have 2 pounds of, like, the white one.
Yeah.
I think it's white chocolate. I'm sure I'm butchering the name, but they should be out in stores in like 4 months.
Oh, cool.
From the time in which you're hearing this podcast.
Yeah. Oh my god, that's awesome.
I got to see their new glaze line. You know, Seth Rogen likes to do those little dots on his clay body, on his stuff.
Yeah.
They're coming out with a glaze line that's similar to that.
Oh, cool.
Where it's not really a glaze, it's just like little coagulated dots of glaze.
Okay,
It looks cool. Then they talked about their new snowflake line that's coming out soon. That I'm sure I'm going to test if I keep in contact with them.
Okay.
It was good. I got to talk to some of the glaze developers. So the first day, my whole job was to go out and get 2 companies on the podcast. Mm-hmm. And on the next day, get 2 more companies. I had 3 slotted. I wanted to pick one up.
Oh my god.
On the second day, I got to meet, and I don't want to drop their names just because protection reasons, but I met them. Hi, if you're listening, you were awesome. I got to meet, I think, one of the lead designers, and then also a lead glaze developer who's been like the advanced glaze developer for Amoco for the past 9 or 10 years.
That's so cool.
And he's the one who like made half of the Potter's Choice stuff. And made all the snowflake stuff. And I glazed him about his glazed is like, it's supposed to be a Gen Z word for like, not worshipped, but I gave him a lot of props. I gave him a lot of...
What's the Gen Z term?
Glazed.
Oh, you glazed him? Wait, what?
You see what I'm saying? It sounds sussy, right?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
When someone's like, dude, I love this glaze. It's so great. I know you created it. Are you glazing right now? Get off it.
Yeah, oh, okay.
Like glazing my knob, dog.
Yeah, ooh.
Right. But it's also funny because we're potters.
Yeah, it is also funny because there's like multiple layers there.
Right.
Multiple layers! Ow! Sorry, carry on.
But I got to talk to him, and he's the one who I believe made the entirety of the Potter's Choice Flux line.
Cool.
And I was just like, dude, it's great. It's great on white clay. It's great on brown clay. It's great on black clay. It's fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Yeah. And he definitely seemed like he had a sense of pride to it. And I'm like, seriously? It's a good glaze.
Yeah.
If I had the recipe to... And I essentially said if I had to guess... I assume that most of the lines of glazes are like a base glaze, and then you're adding colorants to them that work. And so the Potter's Choice Flux glaze, I assume, is like one base, and then you add like a little chrome here, and a little iron here, and a little this here, and little flakes of this and this here. And he was like, yeah, basically. And that's why the lines work so well together.
Yeah.
So any of the Potter's Choice Flux line, I could use and assume they're going to work relatively the same on the clay bodies they like, with the same thermal expansion and the same fit and the same this, same that. I passed a lot of things by them just kind of in talking, and I was very happy that they didn't have any kind of like, oh no, why would you do that? You know?
Yeah.
And they were great. They were fantastic. Talking to them.
Speaking of which, by the way, listeners, so the next couple episodes in the feed are going to be some of these interviews that Donte got.
Yeah.
So
everything I'm telling you, you're going to hear from them.
I'm so stoked that you got those interviews, and thank you, by the way, for doing that, because
what else was I going to do? Enjoy myself? No. Yeah. No, I'm kidding. It was a joy. It was if Amoco, if you're listening right now, it was a deep pleasure to actually interview you. The one thing that I am sorry about and I didn't know is that one of my 2 contacts at Amoco, and I call them my contacts, it's less official than that, but like they're the people that, there's 2 people who have like the same exact name.
Oh, that's right.
At Amoco, and so I thought Amoco had been just ignoring me for like months on end.
Yeah.
It turns out that I've been emailing the wrong person.
Oh no!
Because they're the same person. And,
like the same name.
Well, they're spelled differently, clearly. But their name is basically like something at Amoco.
Right.
Or like, but they have the same like first name. Oh. Even though they're spelled completely differently.
Yeah.
They have the same first name. So I was told her, she was like, I thought you were ignoring me. And I was like, I thought you were ignoring me.
Oh.
And so I've just been emailing the wrong person the whole time.
No.
Or else usually I create a drive file with companies and I put all the content I make about them on that file so they can reuse them for their stuff at any given time. We don't have a file because I've made the file with the wrong person.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
So she doesn't have any of the stuff I've made for her. None of the episodes, none of the stuff, you know?
That's a very Shakespearean level of mishap, miscommunication.
Oh my lord!
Yeah.
But by the end of it, you know, I shook the Amico people's hands and I said bye, and they were great. They're fantastic. I was glad to see all their new products, which is the purpose I kind of go.
Yeah.
I usually come back to my class and I go like, hey, just letting y'all know. That pretty soon you're going to be able to buy some black clay that actually works at Cone 6.
Yeah.
And it doesn't bloat on you.
In
about 4 months. And like, how do you know? And I'm like, I talked to the mother effers who made the glaze.
Yeah.
Who made the clay, okay? Like, I'm pretty sure it's coming out.
Yeah. I feel like that's like, so a general kind of question that I have that I think our listeners might find interesting is like, what was the mix between like socializing for shits and giggles versus like interviewing for the podcast versus making content for your YouTube channel? Like, what was the balance like for you in terms of, and like, were you able to meet like, because I remember one of the things that you were talking about before before NCECA was like, hey, listeners, viewers, you know, if you want to come say hi.
Yeah.
Like, I'll be at various places. Like, did you get a chance to talk to a lot of listeners and viewers and such? I
got stopped at least 50 times, which I think was less than I would have gotten stopped without you, because you're more approachable than I am. So I got lots of people who just like would kind of stare at me.
Oh.
But the people who listen to the podcast and are on my Instagram and my YouTube and whatnot, who I've told like, you can come up to me this time, it's okay.
Yeah.
Like, I'll be essentially alone.
Yeah.
So I've calmed down from my old neighborhood.
I mean, it makes sense why you were, trepidatious about that before.
Well, I come from a neighborhood where if your neighbor wants to talk to you, it's not to say hi. Like, at all.
Yeah.
And so I've calmed down a lot. Now I wear Crocs and socks. I know that Perrier is not an alcohol now. It's in fact a mineral water.
It is in fact a mineral water.
I did not know that. I thought it was alcohol.
My God.
Yeah. Yeah, it was good. For the first, I want to say about 2 days, I was on a lot of stuff, which we'll talk about later.
Yeah. Not like drugs, just so listeners know. It's like you were having like a medical thing going on.
I definitely loaded myself with stuff. If you watch the YouTube video, if you saw me at NCECA, I was like double the amount bloated that I should have been. Easily. Like,
yeah.
I was eating healthily. I was drinking a lot of water, but like I was on a lot of medication to get through that. So if you saw me and I seemed like zoned out or I seemed tired, that's why. But the first 2 days were great because I got to be like full force.
Yeah.
So for the first day, I walked around and tried to get as much footage as I could. If you're listening to this and you're part of those tables, just know that I was taking pictures of your stuff and your sign to put on YouTube. So if you look on my channel, you will see your stuff.
Yeah.
I usually send it out to companies, but companies don't often reciprocate.
Right.
So I just stopped sending it to companies. Now I just use it for content.
Yeah.
And then another third of that was essentially trying to like meet people that I like. Like I saw the cats there, Matt and Rose cats.
Yeah.
They were really busy to the point where like I had to wait on the sidelines for them to finish their conversation before I got to talk to them.
Yeah.
And I think they assumed that I just wanted to ask them glaze chemistry questions, but I just came to say hi.
Oh yeah.
But I got to meet them for like 2 minutes.
That's so cool.
And then they went off.
Yeah. I enjoyed meeting them when you and I both went to NCECA.
Yes.
And like, because I remember we got to do the whole like podcasters like kind of mini meeting with a bunch of other like ceramic podcasters, and I enjoyed getting to meet them there.
Every time I see them, I never get to really sit down and talk to them on a personal level because they're always just so busy.
Right.
They're just always running, and I get that's how people perceive like me. But like you can stop me, and I'll probably at some point be like, "Hold on, I want to talk to this person too."
Yeah.
But they seem like they're like, "No, we have to go.
Yeah.
We have to do something."
Yeah.
What else? Oh, okay. So the other 2/3 is getting to meet people I wanted to meet. Right. Like I have a friend named Cody that I talk to on Instagram all the time because we're like, he does a lot of crystal glazes and I do a lot of like, I'm getting into crystal glazes.
Ooh.
I don't want to.
It's happening. I knew when you were like, I'm done developing glazes for a while, and I'm like, lies.
Listen, what happened, hear me out.
Okay.
What happened is that I made the deep iron saturated khaki red and then I put all my stuff on glazy and then I realized there's another glaze calculator out there that is, I wouldn't say more up to date, but has information that is also useful.
Okay.
With respects to iron, especially. And so now,
and that's different than the Glazy calculator.
There's Glazy, and then there's Ceramic Material Workshop calculator.
Okay.
And the American version didn't work for me, so I had to download like the European version.
Can you get access to that?
It's free.
Okay.
The calculator's free on their website.
That's cool. Okay.
And there's like a couple different versions, right? But like they count iron differently from how Glazy does for some strange reason.
Okay.
I don't know why, but all of the other papers that I'm reading, and we're not going to get into it, but all the other papers that I'm reading that don't have anything to do with pottery, but have things to do with like alkali earth crystals, are more accurate to their molar amounts than the Glazy one.
Oh, okay, okay.
So whenever I read papers out of the pottery world, I'm like, okay, that makes sense.
Gotcha.
But this doesn't make sense.
Okay.
But also I can still use this. It's still user-friendly enough for me to use it. So now I use both calculators in developing one glaze.
Okay, okay.
I take a bit of context from each one.
Yeah, okay.
What's really cool is that the Ceramic Material Workshop glaze, and I swear I'm not sponsored, at the end of its calculator, like on tab like 51 or something like that, out of 50, it has all of the chemical analyses for each mineral. So it'll say like Frit 3134. Here's the
here's everything that's in it.
Frit 3110 here, and it's relatively up to date. I heard that they keep it up to date once a year. They kind of do their stuff. I assume they send it in for testing. I'm not sure, but it seems to be more accurate. I'll say that definitely.
And you learned about that from talking with
a couple people at the convention.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah, and you were talking about Cody.
I got to meet Cody, and he was there, and we shook hands, and it's just getting to meet the people that you follow online. And then also getting information that helps you if you're like in the weeds. Yeah. Like one thing that I really learned in making glazes is that like you can learn how to put a recipe together. Okay, sure, you'll get somewhere with that. Yeah. And then you learn how to weigh your specific gravity. Okay, you'll definitely get somewhere with that for a while. And then you learn how to like source your minerals, and you learn about water solubility, and you learn how to like mineral replacement. And that's pretty good. And then you learn about layering and different clay bodies and how they have effects. Okay, that's pretty good. And now I'm at the level. And then you learn about like molar amounts, and that's really good. Then you learn how to control stuff. Now I'm learning about viscosity.
Oh, yeah.
Viscosity is important, especially for crystal glazes, which is essentially what deep iron saturated khaki red tomato reds are. Like that's what that might not be what they are by definition, but like I treat them as if they're crystal glazes because it is iron that makes crystals. I have to have it a very specific gravity, and then I also have to tune the viscosity because it seems to me, and I've been doing lots of testing, that like less layers equals more crystals in some weird way.
Interesting.
And like more heat kills off a lot of the crystals, but then if you slow cool it, like every crystal glaze in the world, it grows the crystals. So I have to get it to a space where it's like the viscosity and the specific gravity are tuned in, so that at cone 6 it grows the crystals, but it doesn't get rid of all of them.
Right.
But then also as it slow cools or as it cools down, it grows those crystals. Yeah. So I'm getting good big iron crystals.
Yeah, because I feel like viscosity is not usually something that you would spend a lot of time learning unless you're doing like so the first time I remember becoming aware of the concept of like viscosity had to do more with slip casting, because I was I did like an internship with Iana Frisbee, who we actually did an interview with on the podcast.
I remember her.
Yeah. So I did an internship with her a while back, and she was like teaching me a bit about slip casting, because that's the main thing that she does. And then I remember having, and I brought this up before, I remember having an issue where I had a glaze that I had mixed it all together, and then I was like, oh shit, I forgot to add the Epsom salt, and I added it to it, just the straight salt into the mix.
Why?
Because I didn't know what would happen.
That's fair.
Yeah.
You didn't put it in hot water first?
No.
Okay.
No. So what it seems like what it did, and I don't know if this is exactly the correct description of viscosity, and again, we'll go into it later, but
I'm just learning too, so like I'm not really sure how to describe it so that the actuallys don't. You know what I mean?
Yeah, anyway, it ended up screwing up. Even though I had like the correct specific gravity, it was like a lot thicker, so it had like it had a lower viscosity, so more glaze was going on, even though it was the correct specific gravity. Anyway, it was a whole thing. So I think it's gonna be, I'm excited to see where you go with that.
So far that so far that I've seen is that like specific gravity is essentially the ratio in between how much water to how much mineral you have.
Right.
Right? Or it's a comparison of the standard, which is the technical definition. And then viscosity seems to be like how much they're spread out within the suspension. But I think that's a really poor description of it.
Huh.
I think
we will learn more.
We'll learn and
we'll
so
have an episode about it.
Me and CMC Gum are being friends, right? Me CMC Gum and what is it? Epsom salt solution.
Oh yeah.
Are friends right now.
That's exciting.
But it's mainly CMC Gum for me.
Yeah.
On the second day of NCECA.
Yeah. My true love gave to me.
I was just gonna go there. I paused because I was gonna go there.
I saw you pause and I saw you smile and I was like, hey, I'm gonna get in there.
I'm sorry.
Sorry, carry on.
No, you're good. On the second day of NCECA is when like all the events open up.
Right.
So I think and I'm not saying anyone's not smart, but what I think the smart people do is they go on the first day and they see like, oh, you know, like,
they get the layout.
and they see their favorite. Like one of my favorite artists is named like Susan Finley. And she's the person who made, like, my tin chrome red cup that you always see.
Oh, yeah.
And I love that cup a lot. She's the only person that I know that can make a good tin chrome red the way I like it and consider it, like, pseudo red. Because in my brain, tin chrome reds are, like, purple and pink.
Gotcha, okay.
And I'm just not a fan of them. And so what I do is I often go there and I run up to her, like, little shop. Because she has, like, a little like artist shop there.
Oh, cool, yeah.
And you see what you want to buy first. And if you don't buy it right away, it will go away.
Gotcha, yeah.
But that cup was $100.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah. You know? And so I think what the smart people do is they get all the stuff they want to buy the first day.
Yeah. And then spend the next day is like doing going to the workshops, going to the... Oh, yeah, that reminds me. So I heard you say that you went to Hammerly's panel or Hammerly's, like, what's the term?
I'm not really sure what it is.
Yeah, like
I
talk.
Don't know.
You went to his talk.
I went to his talk.
Did you go to any other talks? Or panels or events?
No, because, I mean, from my point of view, NCECA seems to have, and this is not, you know, but from my point of view, what NCECA seems to have is, like, either really technical information or, like, really pseudo-spiritual information. So, like, every time I go to NCECA, it's either like, hey, here's a talk on molar amounts and slip casting, how it ought to be done. Here's a lot of the nuance on it, and here's what I've learned, and here's what I'm testing right now. And then sometimes there's people who are like, you know, it just feels right.
Yeah.
Just the clay tells me what to be, and I just listen. And I'm like, I like
I'm
that.
I'm sensing a little bit of salt there.
I'm trying not to be, but also I'm just not as interested in those.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's fair. I think everyone has, like... Everyone has, like, the things that draw them. Some folks are more interested in the sort of emotional, spiritual aspects of clay, which is completely valid, and some folks are less interested
When Saturn's in Gatorade, my work comes out better.
When Saturn's in Gatorade? Oh my god.
When Mars is in retro presumption, then, you know, I got the gumption. You know, that's how it goes.
I got the gumption. Okay, all right. Yeah, I know that in general you're less, also generally less interested in like going to the panels and stuff. We've kind of talked before.
Generally, yeah.
About how NCECA is kind of more the social aspect for us. But I was just curious if there was anything that stood out to you this time that you decided to go see.
Yeah, I really wanted to go to just like the workshops. Mm-hmm. Because there's a difference between like the talks and the workshops. Yeah,
because the workshops are when people are actually like demonstrating things, right?
Yes.
So what workshops did you go to?
Only Hammerly's.
Okay.
I only went to
Hammerly's on?
I don't remember.
That's fair. You know what?
Because the whole time I was there, like, that's Hammerly.
Yeah.
Done. That's him right there.
Yeah, it is right there.
That's the goat. I see you, my slime. Like the whole time I was just.
Oh my god.
That's him, and at the end of it, I was like, oh, there's a line forming.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna get in that line.
Yeah.
Seeing him was enough for me.
That's cool.
It's weird because I have these pseudo heroes. I have like the person who developed a lot of the glazes for Amico, and he's like a pseudo hero to me. And I get to meet him, and then after I meet him, I'm like, that was good. But I've never freaked out and been like, like I've never done that.
Oh my god.
You know, and so I think for me meeting some of these people is more important to me than like meeting like Will Smith.
Oh yeah.
If it was Will Smith, I'd be like, cool, it's Will Smith.
Yeah.
But meeting like the prime glaze developer for Amico
hits different.
It hits different because of my specialty.
Yeah. I still remember, and again, Kurt, I apologize for my potential awkwardness the first time we met, but when I met him in Sacramento, I literally did like the double take thing because, and I did like a, you're Hammerly. Yeah. I did one of those. And he was like, yeah. And I'm like, hi.
The weird thing is they're just walking around.
Yeah.
And you think they'd be just surrounded by people. Mm-hmm. Like all the time, like a little force field.
Yeah.
But people in the clay space often give you your space because they know your content well enough. Like the people who came up to me, like met me and then they're like, okay, well, I know you are busy, so bye.
Yeah.
But when I meet someone like Hammerly or anybody else, I expect like just a ring around them of people, and that's not what's happening. They're very there.
It's very bizarre. The whole parasocial relationship thing is very odd. But it's also, I don't know, it's also fun. Like it is exciting to like go there and be like, oh my God, you're the person who's like either, you know, makes this work I really like, or I've learned from, or it's like, you know, all these things, and it's really cool.
Right, so. And there were very few instances that weren't like pleasurable.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. There were a couple of shops I went up to and people I talked to that looked at me like, oh, it's that fucking YouTube kid. Like, oh, it's you, and you have opinions, and I've seen them on Instagram, and I dislike them. Oh, but then once you talk to them for 20 minutes, they're like, oh, I actually really like you, and I'm like, yeah, it's weird that you can't discern my entire personality from 2 Instagram clips. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
It's almost like you should get to know people first. And so that was probably my only negative experience, which wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
It was a lot of illusion that went away.
Yeah.
Which was great.
Did you end up doing a meetup, kind of like what we did in Cincinnati that one time, where we were like, hey.
I did, but I'm really bad at it.
Yeah?
So I let people know like 2 hours beforehand, and 3 people showed up.
Yeah.
Which was great.
You gotta give people more time.
I know. I'm bad at it. And then I was late to show up.
Oh, BB.
And it was like one boba place in Utah. Which, by the way, Utah, come on. Come on. I don't usually say this.
Yeah.
You need more diversity.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have... Yeah. Come on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think we're spoiled.
I do.
I think we're spoiled because we live in Sacramento. So
Sacramento's hella diverse.
Well, especially like our like we're one of the racial marriage capitals we're like number 9 or something like that in racial marriage.
Oh.
We used to be number 1 a while ago, and then we dropped. And then also like we have a pretty good immigrant population for like Asian people, and then we're California, so we have a pretty good immigrant. Like we have all the food from the people that originated the food. Yeah.
Like we are. Yeah.
There's no shortage of like boba and Asian food whatsoever here that are actually made by the people who know how to make the food.
Yeah.
Utah, that's a problem for you. You guys don't have that. So their boba place was like, there's like 4 things on their menu. Aww. And they were basically milkshakes.
You know what? They're trying.
With boba in it.
They're trying. They're doing their best.
Try harder. There was one place there that rocked though.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Tell me.
Forgot what it's called.
That's okay.
But Fong went there, the person who I was in the house with.
Oh, yeah.
Every single day.
Oh my God.
And the last day we went, and I was like, I need to get that to go.
Ooh.
It was like $18 for a plate too.
Oh dang.
Which was great for now.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
And it was just like tofu. It was fantastic.
Ooh. Man, making me hungry.
I got to bring all those necklaces that I made.
Oh yeah.
I brought all the necklaces.
Oh my God, that reminds me.
What?
So tell me about your rollout for Red Lotus.
Oh.
Yeah, that's like a huge part.
Okay, so remember I told you in the last podcast that I made Red Lotus?
Yes.
And then they were like, this version is good. We're not going to make any more.
Yeah.
And then I was like, no, but I have an updated version.
Right, yeah.
So they made 500 pounds of it, and 400 pounds of it sold in like the first 3 days.
Holy shit.
Yeah, and then somebody from Clayscapes, I won't say their name, contacted me and like congratulated me and was like, we just want to congratulate you on the rollout.
Yeah, that's huge, dude.
That's what I like about Clayscapes. They're just personable. And like the second that the thing happened, they were like, it's going good, we like it. I might bug them later so that I can make the recipe more stable.
Oh my God, Donte, let it go.
People really like the glaze. The problem is that at like cone 7, it runs. But you're not supposed to fire it to cone 7.
Yeah, I mean that's...
And at cone 5 or 5.5, it's perfect.
Yeah.
And at cone 6, it runs a little bit, but it still gets a good red.
Yeah.
I want it to be the opposite. I want it to be like red at cone 5, crystally at cone 6, and then run a little bit at cone 7. And then you could possibly take it to cone 8. That's what I want.
Right.
But it's such a finicky... Anyway, we sold a lot of it. People were using the Earth Nation Ceramics code at Clayscapes. You can use the code EARTH10 at checkout for whatever you need on Clayscapes Pottery website. I'm so out of breath. It was good.
That's so fucking exciting.
I'm developing glazes right now for next year so I can bug Clayscapes to be like, maybe so this one.
Yeah.
Maybe here's a blue.
Here's a thing. Oh, I'm so excited.
Stroganoff?
Stroganoff? What?
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 What'd you say?
What? Like the pasta dish?
Oh!
Beef stroganoff? Oh! Ooh, man, I am hungry. My brain's on food.
I'm actually, now that I've said it.
Yeah, right?
I didn't mean it that way.
My mom makes really good beef stroganoff.
Your mom does make good stroganoff.
Oh my God, Donte!
Your mom makes great stroganoff.
Donte, don't you say that about my mother! Don't you say that about my mother!
I'm sorry.
Oh my God. By the way, listeners, I don't know if you've noticed, but I've started marking our episodes explicit and not beeping out the curse words anymore. So yeah, I hope you enjoy.
The people who are really down for it, like, they'll message me and be like, Nico will message me and be like, take out the bleeps!
I know. I'm sorry, Nico. I hope you're happy. I've listened to you.
We're more vulgar now.
I mean, honestly, it's mostly just that, like YouTube, because the main reason I started bleeping things out, and this is a total tangent, but the main reason I started bleeping things out is because I was like, well, like maybe it'll like reach more people. People will like be able to have it on with their like kids around or something. And then like, but the main thing was like, oh, well, we're going to be on YouTube, and they're like more strict about that.
They're way more strict about it, yeah.
Yeah, but now it's like, honestly, like, yeah, we have the podcast like via YouTube, but like, I like our main listenership is like through traditional podcast apps, and it's not, and I don't know, like no one has ever reached out to me. But like even before when we were explicit, before we went like clean for a while, before we can go, no one ever reached out and was like, hey, this is like too explicit.
Yeah, like, very few people have been like, I don't like that you cuss. And of them, usually I do a little, like, just a little looky-loo into their profile, and I'm like, okay, well, you kind of seem like a clutch my pearls kind of person, to be honest.
Yeah, and I think, because if I remember correctly, too, like, I think we maybe had one person who was, like, an educator who was like, yeah, I want to recommend this podcast to my students, but it's also kind of like, I want to, I don't know. I made an executive decision for the branding. It's not like we're going to be like, all the curse words and all the things.
We're not going to scale it. The pendulum doesn't swing that
it's not going to swing. I'm just like not going to, bleep out like the few curse words that we use.
Well, also like, realistically, I know we're getting off topic. We've toned it back enough to like, I'm not like all the curse words ever. Like I'm not saying like CUNT. I'm not like, which realistically is way worse than like mother effer, to be honest with you.
Yeah, unless you're like in, the UK or whatever, then they use it like anything else. But yeah, in American culture, it's much less common to use that word. So.
Yeah, and so
anyway. So tell me more. I know I see that you've got a list.
I have a list, but I'm
very proud of you. Tell me more things. So we've talked about day 0 where you go and you buy all the things you want first. You get a lay of the land. We've talked about the first main day where it's like you talk with people, you hang out, you go see the things. What else?
On the last day, you go to all the events. So there's like the shot glass exchange.
Oh yeah.
From Mud Buddies and Clay Buddies and all them that run that, and that was clean.
Yeah.
I remember last year we went, or a couple years ago we went, and it was like in a basement.
Yeah.
At that one big place. I forgot what it's called, like Sister City Clay. Sister.
Oh my God, I know what you're talking about. I've forgotten, but yeah.
Queen City
Clay. Yeah.
And that was great. That was fantastic. But it's just like there, people got in a line and they kind of picked what they wanted. This time it was in brown paper bags. Mm-hmm. If you dropped off a couple, you got a couple.
Yeah.
Everyone had an even thing. There were people like myself who dropped off like 3 things.
Yeah.
And they just didn't want anything, so there were extras.
Yay.
I don't need any more pottery, really.
Lies.
2 things. If you ever think about sending me pottery, don't. I love you. Don't want more pottery. I'm sorry. I break your heart. I know. Secondly, if you've ever sent something to my P.O. box, it probably got returned to you because that thing's been off for like 3 months.
It's been off?
Off.
Oh, like you don't have a P.O. box anymore?
I no longer have a P.O. box.
Why?
It takes $300 to maintain that thing.
For real?
Every 6 months.
Through the post office?
Yes, through USPS. Yes. And so I was just burnt, and
That's crazy.
People would not send me stuff consistent. Like it wasn't worth it. I'd get like a thing a month, and of those things it'd be like a card, which is great. I love the cards. I really love that you send them, but I'm just burning like grocery money every couple months.
Well, when you send out mail though, are you using your main address now?
No, it still has that P.O. box. But it's just because I don't want people to know where I live.
Oh.
So any mail that gets returned from people goes back to that place. But
that's funny. So somebody's going to be whoever gets your next P.O. box is going to be getting stuff.
Yeah.
That's funny.
But I will say though that almost no one has returned an item.
Yeah.
So like it just hasn't shown up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it hasn't been a problem so far.
Gotcha.
I might turn it back on.
Yeah.
But the main problem I have with the USPS box is that they're like, well, you have to buy a big one. And I'm like, right, but every time I buy a big one, it costs a lot of money.
Yeah.
And anytime people send me stuff, the box is inevitably bigger than the box that I put the mail in.
Yeah.
And you guys always hold it off to the side.
Yeah.
So why can't I buy a small one for way less money, and you're just going to hold it off to the side anyway, like you always do?
Yeah.
Why are you making me pay more for the same thing?
Yeah.
So I might do that.
Yeah.
But then I have to go through all my PO box, all my videos, and redo 200 something videos, and I want to. Right, exactly. So for now, it's off.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair.
I think if you truly want to send me something, we'll just make a pickup point at a post office, which is the same thing.
Or just
you just send it to a FedEx, and I'll pick it up from there.
Yeah.
Anyway,
the
third day you go to all the events. And that's like
so you're saying that the shot glass exchange went really well. What are some of the other events like?
Oh man, there's usually a lot of art events, so people have art galleries around the convention, all the art studios, and they set it up so that you can go there and they wine you and they cheese you and they let you walk around and look at all the art, and they have demos and sales, and it's great. It's great. Cool. I didn't go to a lot of them, but I know that usually NCECA is kind of the epicenter of all of these other studios around them that they're involved with. The thing that I suggest everyone do that almost no one does is to meander around the convention center for a while and look at all the rooms that you look like you're not supposed to go into, but you can. And they have a lot of schools that will put art in there.
Oh, that's cool.
It'll be like colleges, and they're beautiful work.
Wow.
Gorgeous work. But most people don't. Like, they're not going down there. Like, I had to go at the convention center, I had to go downstairs, all the way to the right, go down escalators, go down 2 dark hallways, and then to the left, there's 3 rooms. And in those 3 rooms, no one's in there except for one person watching their own artwork. And then of that, there's beautiful artwork in there.
Oh, wow. Sounds like NCECA, you advertise those things more.
Well, no, they do. It's just, like, nobody's walking that damn far.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
No, nobody's going down there. And sometimes you get confused because at the same time the convention was going, there was like a judo convention and a gymnastics convention.
Oh, yeah.
And like I think another convention, a food convention.
Oh my God. This is totally unrelated, but I had something like that happen recently where I went to a protest at the California GOP convention, which was downtown Sacramento. But it was really funny because there was a volleyball convention happening that same day. So it was just like, I didn't click at first because I thought the GOP convention was the whole ass convention. And so I'm like, why is the GOP like
playing volleyball?
Like, is there like a GOP like young Republicans volleyball tournament? Like, what is happening? Anyway, but then I was like, oh, it's a entirely different ass thing.
Wild.
Anyway, so I'm curious. What was your social battery like? Because I kind of remember when you and I went to NCECA last time, like by the end in Cincinnati, by the end of the day, like you and I kind of just went upstairs and like watched Breaking Bad.
Yeah, this time it was Game of Thrones. I watched a lot of Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Game of Thrones cool, but like one of my friends was like, "You're pretty much just watching softcore," and I'm like,
I mean, for some of it, yeah.
I mean,
which is fine.
Like once every 5 episodes, there's some softcore, and I'm like, all right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was cool. There was a downstairs area. Usually in the Airbnb, I have this little area that I find in the house somewhere that, and I think it's Nico's doing, or whoever in April. I think whoever does the Airbnb house is like, Donte's gonna need like a Harry Potter closet to get away in.
Oh.
So I went to wherever people have trouble getting to. It's usually up or downstairs, and then there was a little living room, and I slept, I ate, I drank, I edited video, I played video games, I watched American Dad in that.
Yeah.
In that place, it had its own TV. It was great. It was away from everybody, so I got to recharge a bit. But by the second day, I was pretty medicated. I told you this, and I'll say it now on the cast. I went into like major anaphylactic shock the day before I got on the train. I had to take 3 Benadryl, 4 Zyrtec, and had to stick myself with an EpiPen, and I almost canceled the trip because I almost went to like the ER.
Yeah.
Because I have an autoimmune disease that my dad gave me to where my body attacks everything and it reacts as an allergic reaction. And so I won't get into it, but I have really bad, like medically bad allergies.
Yeah.
And so for the entire trip, I was super bloated because I was on so much stuff.
Yeah.
I was on so much stuff.
Just to be able to, like, function because your body was swelling.
Dude, so for the first 2 days, I was just dosed. And then the second 2 days, I was just tired from the social interaction that I'm forcing.
Yeah.
And it was if you met me at NCECA and you were like, he's a little fatter than usual. I mean, granted, I am, but it was worse this time.
Also, who's paying attention to that? But yeah.
Social media.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Remember Instagram?
Yeah.
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 You mean that app that I basically only share political stuff on now?
Yeah.
Actually, that's not entirely true. I share some.
I deleted my TikTok because they're just
I deleted mine too.
I deleted TikTok because when it went away, they were like, "Oh, maybe if we suck Trump's dick enough, we'll come back." And then it came back an hour later, and they were glazing the hell out of Trump.
Yeah.
They were just like, "Oh, thank God."
Oh God. Okay, that's a little much.
We're back. We're back.
Oh my God! I know I said I wasn't gonna bleep stuff out, but I might have to. That's just like too. Ugh.
Anyway.
Yeah.
And now the S&P 500 is down so many points. Anyway.
Yay! Yay! Leopards faces.
401k gone.
Yep.
What else? I'm pissed. I'm pissed because Donte has stocks and they're down, baby.
Yep.
So those are the main job that I wanted to get in those 2 days was to meet people and then also to make sure that I get Mako, Amico, and IMCO on the podcast, which I did. IMCO being the Industrial Mineral Company. IMCO is leading the way in clay bodies. I'm telling you. Like IMCO is making like green, pink, purple, black, blue clay. They have all the testers out there. If you watch it on my YouTube video, you'll get to see all of them. They have little bags that you can order to test them out instead of buying 25 pounds.
Oh, that's cool.
Which is awesome because the amount of times I've told my students to buy a bag of this clay because it's cool, and then they're like, I don't like it.
And then you just have
20 pounds left over.
Yeah.
Because it feels wrong, or it's not the right color, it's not the right preference, or something like that, you know. And so, I love that they give out these little samples.
Yeah, that's really convenient.
And I got to talk to basically their manager, who essentially runs the damn place. And I got him on a podcast, and he was great.
I'm so excited to listen to all of these and put these out.
Yeah, I'm very excited about it. And the surprise that I got, the final like cherry on top of the cake, is that I was walking around and I saw this beautiful firebox. You know, I do all my little tests.
Oh, yeah.
Inside of a pour. It's not very great heat work, but that's because it's small.
Yeah.
Right? So it's a little scut firebox. And I was like, oh, they have a new model. Oh, that's nice. I start to touch it, and one guy named Chad came up and was like, Donte? And I was like, citizen? And he's like, you're Donte from Earth Nation. And I was like, yes. And he was like, we love your channel. He's, by the way, Chad, if you're listening, you're too buff, first of all. Listen.
Donte, we don't comment on the physical appearances.
I do. I ain't gay, but I ain't blind neither.
Oh!
That man's big.
I feel like that's a little inappropriate.
Are you questioning my sexuality?
No, I'm not. I'm just like...
You a liberal person?
I don't think we should be commenting on the physical appearances of our...
Listen, Chad is ripped.
Okay.
That's all I'll say about that.
Okay.
That's all I'm just gonna say.
Okay.
Because when he poked me on the shoulder, I had to look up. He's 6'3" of like, you're Donte. And I was like, oh no. This could be good or bad. And he was like, I watch your channel. I'm like, it's probably good. Okay, good.
Okay, all right.
Okay, and then another guy who's also actually pretty ripped, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Stood there. They both worked at Scut. And he was like, what are you doing here? And I was like, I'm just walking around trying to get content. Yeah. You know, I have the podcast. He goes, can I be on the podcast? And I think one of his bosses came up.
Yeah.
I think her name was Mary. I can't quite remember. I have her card. And they all individually gave me their cards.
Oh
and
my
contact
God.
info. We switched.
Hell yeah.
And then he goes, I would like to be on the podcast. And I was like, yeah, of course. I would love to have you on the podcast. He's come back tomorrow at 3. I came back tomorrow, and then him and another person came up with me into an area where we had a little bit more privacy. And, you know, and so I turned over and I was like, oh, yeah, Chad, introduce yourself. Because he really wanted to talk about this new program where he's trying to get, like, a lot of educators connected with kids who want to get into clay.
Oh, okay.
Their main thing is that, and this is just a recap, their main thing is that, especially during COVID, a lot of artists and the infrastructure that held a lot of those popular artists that had a lot of good information went away. Just rode off into the sunset. And so he's like, we would like to connect people who really want to deep dive and learn about clay and things of that nature.
Oh, cool.
With people like yourself who would give them guidance.
Yeah. Okay.
And I jokingly kind of said, like, oh, a Big Brothers Big Sisters program, but like...
For clay.
For clay. And he goes, yes.
Oh,
Pretty much it, right?
Ooh, well, that's going to be fun.
Right. And he's like, if you need a kiln and you're in the area, we hook you up, you know, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And, you know, Wu-Tang is for the kids. So I was like, yeah. I'm with it. Yeah, absolutely. And then Chad explained that for like 5 minutes or so. And then I looked over at the other guy to my right and I was like, and your name is? And they all have badges on. I said, Jim Scutt? And he goes, yeah. And I was like, your last name is Scutt. And he goes, uh-huh. And I was like the name on my kiln? And he goes, yep.
Oh my God.
And I was like, Scutt and Sons? You're one of the sons. And he goes, yes, I am.
Holy shit.
I want to tell you, they are the most lawful good people you'll ever meet in your life.
Oh, I love that.
They're like, and if you don't play D&D, you don't know what I'm talking about. They're very like I was asking him wild questions about kilns, and he was like, no, we wouldn't do that because that might pose a danger to people.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Like, that sounds like idea, yes, but we wouldn't give you that option because you might get hurt in doing that.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And I was like, that's good. I'm glad that a business thinks about that. Because I think somebody who's not lawful good would be like, if we can make money off it, let's do it, baby! Let's do it!
Is there not a regulation specifically prohibiting me from doing this thing? Fuck it.
Loophole! What?
Yeah.
And so they were awesome. And then we had a interview with Jim Scutt.
Oh my God.
And Chad.
I can't wait to listen to these episodes.
Dude, and then after the podcast, this other guy comes up, and he was scoping us out, but he gave the energy like he knew Chad and Jim.
Yeah.
And I was like, who is you? What do you need? Right? And Jim goes, oh, that's our CEO. And I was like, damn, you can't do that. And
you can't just drop this info
I kept
on
turning
me.
to Chad and being like, you can't just do this to me. He goes, we thought it'd be a nice surprise.
Oh my God.
And I was like, it's a surprise.
That's so cool, dude.
It was good. We exchanged information.
Oh my God.
It was fantastic. You know, I talked to one of the people at Scut for a little bit, and they were like, what kind of wheel are you using? And I was like, my wheel is plastic. And they were like, that's not good. They were like, your wheel head's not metal? And I was like, no. And they gave me a
Wait, your wheel head's not metal?
Did you not know that?
Like the actual wheel head?
My wheel head is so old that it's not metal.
Oh my God.
Did you not know that?
No.
Yeah.
Ew.
What do you mean, ew? Well, actually, ew.
Ew.
No, you're right, ew. No, but anytime someone's like, you gotta have the best, biggest, and brightest wheel to create the best work, and I'm like,
no.
Not really.
No, dude, you can make... People have been making things on, like, converted wagon wheels for...
Right.
You know, like, you don't... I mean, like, sure, there are certain things make things easier, but...
Yeah, it's an ease of use tool, like I say with everything.
Yeah.
And so it's just, you know, I was like, well, I have a plastic wheel. But because my wheel head is plastic, there's a slight bump. Right, and that's the main problem with plastic wheel heads.
It's because it degrades faster than metal. Yeah.
It also doesn't come off very easily. Mine is a Creative Industries wheel. I don't think Creative Industries is...
around anymore?
I don't think they are. I think they got bought out by another company. And completely revamped, and they're just gone. Like,
interesting.
If you ever watch my YouTube channel, and you see my wheel head, and that brown thing, it is plastic.
Oh my God.
It is not metal. And I told one of them this, and they were like, oh!
Oh! My God.
My Lord.
Yeah.
And so... I think I might have to be in the market for a new wheel, and they had Scut wheels, so I'm like, maybe. We'll see how it goes.
Oh,
I think you have a Brent, yeah?
No. I have a Scut wheel.
You have a Scut wheel?
I had to double check.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I love my Scut wheel. It's great. It's
I just hate the
workhorse.
I hate those circular pans that go around like the Shimpo Vivor or whatever.
Those are the
the
Amico Brent ones. Yeah. I mean, it does make cleaning. I get why they do it. It does make cleaning easier.
I'd prefer, and this is just a different topic. I'd prefer to just take my wheel head off, get a sponge, slop it, and then take it out over like taking the bedpans apart, and then I
mean, basically.
taking them apart and then struggling to put them back on because I'm not good at it, and you could argue that's a skill issue, but like, I just want to be able to take it apart, clean it, put it back together.
Yeah.
And I want it to be made of metal, and I want to be able to throw it around and be fine.
Yeah.
Right. So I like that gulch. Yeah. Plus, the gulch allows me to put stuff in the gulch.
Yeah.
And that's what I like about the type you have.
Dang, dude. That's so cool, though.
It was wild. It was I had very, very few, if any, negative experiences.
Is there anything else any other experiences? Because I kind of like the idea of ending out on the episode of you just accidentally sort of meeting a Scut family member.
It was strange.
Yeah, like, I kind of want to end out on that.
I was like, aren't you, like, royalty? And he's like, no, but...
I mean, yes.
Yeah, you're like, I mean,
in the sense of in the pottery world, yeah.
I am third generation. I'm like, oh my God.
That's so cool.
My bad.
So cool. So is there anything else any other experiences that you want to share before we head out?
Oh, you'll hear it on the podcast, but I got to ask him what I call the evil genie questions.
What are the evil genie
You haven't listened to the files I sent you. I loaded them all, by the way.
No, I just started that new job. I think listeners I think I mentioned it on the Mud Peddlers, but listeners of the Night Peddlers will know that I'm just starting a new job at a cafe and wine bar in Sacramento. So I have been like consumed with like training and doing all this other stuff. So I haven't listened to the files yet.
The thing that I really liked about meeting the people from like the ground level of the companies is that I got to ask them all the misinformation questions. So like I got to ask Jim Scott how a kiln ought to be fired. And he was like, here's how you ought to fire it. And he's like, you should do this, this, and this. Never take out these two peepholes at the same time because it creates a backdraft. And we had one person in our studio who damaged her eye from looking into a peephole because she had the top and the bottom out at the same time. And heat rises, and so it rises out of the top peephole and damaged her eye.
Oh, wow.
He's like, you should let the most oxygen into the oxidation chamber before you fire it. Like, he goes over it. So stay tuned, because
ooh, that's gonna be awesome.
I bonded with the Mako person because half of our conversation was just like me asking her, so what are the actual constraints? Because I feel like a lot of people get frustrated that they buy a bottle of glaze and it doesn't come out how it says. And she's like, yeah, it's mainly user error. Yeah, and then I have to guide them. Like, you basically have to educate them on how to glaze, because a lot of them are, for lack of a better term, amateurs.
Yeah.
And that's a nice way to put it.
Yeah, no, I mean, of course, it makes sense. Like, if you're new to these things, you're gonna mess up. Like, it's just what happens.
I got to talk. Blick was there, and that was crazy, because Blick has finally realized that, like, potters are clay things.
Oh, that's so cool!
And so if you go to the Blick website, or a store now, you'll see a whole aisle, and Amico was like, pretty soon we're gonna have stuff at Blick!
Hey, baby!
I'm pretty sure they have some already.
I think I actually went into a Blick not that long ago, because there's that's like where I go to get my art supplies now.
So I get all my brushes, really.
Yeah.
The brushes are great there.
So many good brushes.
I'm tired of those fan brushes. Stop trying to push those fan brushes on me, guys.
I mean, fan brushes are a thing for a thing.
They're a thing for a thing, but like, for me, I need more mineral on my brush to put on my pot at a time.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, they're good for painting, and I guess if you're... Anyway,
I just mean for glaze,
Point being, like, yeah, I think I saw some Amico glazes, and I was like, oh, shit, this is...
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
I got Speedball there. Ryan and Becca were there.
Oh my god, how are they?
They were good. They definitely seemed tired by like the third day.
Yeah,
I came by like, do you guys need food or anything? And they're like, no, we're just...
Did they have a booth?
They were with Speedball, I believe.
Oh, cool. Oh, yeah, that's right, because Becca... Yeah.
They were at the Speedball.
Really cool.
They were just doing the work.
Yeah.
Right?
I love Speedball.
If you are from NCECA and you are listening to this, dear God, please comp my ticket next year. I will come every year if you comp my ticket. It was like $1,500 to go.
Yeah.
With the train is my fault.
Yeah,
for sure.
I mean, the train's more expensive for sure. But yeah, I mean, I think, because my understanding, so like, I don't want to be like, give me free stuff.
I don't want to, but it's so expensive to go.
Yeah, and I think it makes sense. I don't know. My understanding is that there is a system in place for like press.
Yes.
And I feel like at this point you're kind of press.
I mean,
so, like,
I'm making YouTube videos out of it, and we're making podcasts out of it, and I try really hard to get people to go to NCECA on a communal basis, because I think it's a good thing. It's not like a money thing. It's not like a maybe they'll pay me if I get more people to come. It's not any mischievous. It's just, I think it's good for the community, but it's difficult for me as someone who has a small community to go, just because the price of the ticket is expensive for me.
Yeah, I hear it.
You know?
I hear it.
Unfortunately, that's it.
That's it. Yeah. All right. Well, hopefully we will. I don't know. We'll see about going next year. Where is it going to be next year?
I think it's in Michigan, Detroit, Michigan next year.
Detroit. All right. Cool beans.
Maybe. It depends on if I got the money and time to go.
Well, that's good. Well, that means I'll have to check out. I think Michigan has pretty good reproductive rights laws. I'll have to double check, but at least it would be cold enough that I could wear my Handmaid's Tale outfit and be warm.
Is Detroit, Michigan?
I think Michigan has decent reproductive rights laws.
I don't know anything about Detroit, Michigan.
That's okay.
I know they used to be like the car place.
Yeah.
Place where they make cars.
Yeah.
But that's not going well.
Yeah.
For obvious reasons.
Tariffs.
Yeah. I mean, before that it wasn't going well.
Yeah, no.
To be honest, it's probably worse
true.
now.
That's true. It's a complicated myriad of factors that make things, Anyway, I don't know what to say to that. Point being.
Did you know that Nefsai comes from Canada?
I think I actually did. I think I looked that up.
Did you know that there's tariffs on Canada?
Oh, shit.
Did you know that your NCECA and your glazes are about to get hella more expensive? And it's not like a little bit. It's not like 10%. It's not like 10%, baby. It's like over 20%. You know the main feldspar I use? NCECA.
And scene. And that's it for today. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of The Mud Peddlers. We would love to hear from you, so if you want to share your thoughts about the episodes or just see what Donte and I are working on in our studios, come say hi. You can find links to my social media at lindseymdillon.com. That's LINDSEY, M as in monster, DILLON.com.
And you can visit my pottery shop or see what I'm working on at earthnationceramics.com. And you can find me all over social media at Earth Nation Ceramics. It's spelled exactly how you think it's spelled.
And if you want to support the show, hear some bonus episodes, and see some behind the scenes of my work, you can support me and the show at patreon.com/Lindsey M Dillon. Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you next time.